I need to tell you something that is going to completely change how you think about why you wake up at night to use the bathroom. The thing almost every doctor tells you: drink less water before bed, cut back on caffeine, try bladder training. Those things help a little, but they're treating the symptom, not the cause. And if you've been doing all of that and still getting up to 3 times a night, that's because nobody told you where the problem actually starts. It doesn't start in your bladder. It starts in your gut. Here's the reality. According to data from the National Health and Nutrition Examination Survey, analyzing over 25,000 adults, more than 82% of men and 84% of women over the age of 60 experience nocturia, the medical term for waking up to urinate at night. That's not a bladder epidemic. That's a system-wide failure, and the gut is right at the center of it. The global overactive bladder treatment market, drugs, devices, surgery, is worth over $4.5 billion a year. Ask yourself, does that industry benefit from you understanding that your gut bacteria are controlling your bladder, or from you staying on medication indefinitely? What the research now shows, published in peer-reviewed journals including Frontiers in Microbiology and the World Journal of Urology, is that there are 5 specific daily fixes that target the gut-bladder connection. Bladder overactivity, and help most people over 60 sleep through the night without a single prescription. In this video, I'm walking you through all 5. And stay with me until number 2, because it's the fix that most urologists have never mentioned to a single patient. And the research behind it is extraordinary. All studies in this video are cited in the description below, sourced from PubMed, the World Journal of Urology, Stat Pearls at the National Institutes of Health, and Frontiers in Microbiology. Before we get into this, quick question for you. How many times are you getting up at night right now, and how long has it been going on? A few months? A few years? Drop it in the comments below. I go through every single one personally. It's the closest thing I have to a waiting room. So tell me, what's going on? Your answer might also help someone else watching who thinks this is just normal aging. Number 5. Stop drinking less water, do this instead. This one is going to feel completely backwards, but it is probably the most important mindset correction in this entire video. Most people with nocturia are told to restrict fluids in the evening. And while the timing of your fluid intake genuinely matters, the research shows that most people respond by simply drinking less water overall, and that is making their nocturia significantly worse. A clinical study published in the BJU International Journal found that when patients with nocturia were given proper guidance on total daily water intake, not just evening restriction, -67% of participants showed meaningful improvement in nighttime urination frequency. Not because they drank less, because they redistributed when they drank. Here's why this matters so much after 60. When you chronically underhydrate, 2 things happen. First, your urine becomes highly concentrated. Concentrated urine is a direct irritant to bladder tissue. It triggers urgency signals even at low volumes, essentially telling your bladder it's full when it isn't. Second, chronic dehydration reduces gut motility, allows bacteria to become more concentrated in the lower digestive tract, and compromises the gut lining, which directly feeds the gut-bladder inflammatory axis. We'll talk about throughout this video. Here's exactly what to do. Drink the majority of your daily fluid, at least 60%, before 3 p.m. Take your last significant drink of water no later than 2 hours before bed. Keep a small glass of water by your bedside. Not to drink freely, but for one small sip if you wake up with a dry mouth. This prevents the reflex that sends you to the bathroom. Aim for at least 6 to 8 glasses of water spread across the day, not 2 big glasses at dinner. The secret principle most people get wrong. It's not about drinking less, it's about drinking earlier. A 2010 study published in the Journal of Urology, SOTA ETL, found that non-drug lifestyle modifications, including fluid timing, reduced nighttime voids from an average of 3.62, 2.7 per night, in a study of 56 patients, with over half improving by at least 1 bathroom trip. No medication required. To progress with this habit, add a consistent morning hydration ritual, 1 full glass of water within 10 minutes of waking. This jumpstarts kidney function early and gives your body more time to process fluids before bed. Staying chronically dehydrated inflames the bladder lining, concentrates your urine, and sets the gut-bladder inflammatory cycle in motion every single day. But number 4 is where things start to get surprising, because it targets something happening in your gut every night that almost nobody connects to their bathroom trips. Number 4, the overnight sodium shift. Most people know that salt makes you retain water. What they don't know is that for adults over 60, excess sodium actually causes a specific and well-documented pattern of nighttime fluid release, and it's one of the most underdiagnosed causes of nocturia in older adults. A 2017 randomized controlled trial published in the Journal of Urology, Yamaguchi, ETL, studied 223 adults with nocturia and high dietary salt intake. After 12 weeks of salt reduction, participants experienced a 25% decrease in nighttime urination episodes, going from an average of 2.3 voids per night to 1.7. That's not a minor change. For someone waking up 2 to 3 times a night, that's potentially the difference between sleeping through and not. Here's the biology of why this happens, specifically after 60. During the day, excess sodium causes fluid to be retained in the tissues, particularly around the legs and ankles. When you lie down at night, that fluid is redistributed back into the bloodstream and then processed by the kidneys exactly when you're trying to sleep. After 65, the kidneys lose some of their ability to concentrate urine at night, making this redistribution effect even more dramatic. Your gut plays a role here too. A high-sodium diet directly disrupts gut microbiome diversity, which promotes systemic inflammation, including in the bladder tissue itself. Here's exactly what to do. Audit your 3 biggest sodium sources. For most people over 60, it's bread, canned soups, and processed deli meat, not the salt shaker. Reduce your sodium intake to under 2,000 milligrams per day. The American Heart Association recommends this for adults over 60. In the afternoon, around 3 to 5 p.m., do 20 minutes of gentle walking or leg elevation. This mobilizes the fluid pooled in your lower legs before you lie down, so your kidneys can process it earlier in the evening rather than at 2 a.m. Elevate the foot of your bed by about 4 inches. Even a folded blanket under the mattress works. This gentle angle helps redistribute lower body fluid passively while you sleep. The most overlooked detail: the leg elevation in the afternoon is not optional. It is the mechanism that moves retained fluid earlier in the day. Without it, sodium reduction alone produces only partial improvement. As you adapt, try adding compression socks during the day. They actively reduce lower body fluid pooling and amplify the effect of your afternoon walks. Ignore sodium, and your kidneys will keep flooding you with nighttime urine, no matter how early you stop drinking water. But number 3 is the one I teased at the start, the gut fix that the bladder industry genuinely doesn't want you to know about. Number 3, restore your gut bacteria, the gut-bladder axis. Nobody told you that your gut bacteria are directly controlling your bladder. But the research now proves it. A landmark 2020 study, published in the World Journal of Urology, examined the gut microbiomes of 116 adults to 58 with overactive bladder with daily urinary urgency and 58 without using next-generation DNA sequencing of fecal samples. The finding was definitive. People with overactive bladder had significantly lower bacterial diversity in their gut compared to healthy controls. Specifically, they had critically low levels of bifidobacterium, a key protective gut bacteria, compared to those without bladder symptoms. And a 2024 Mendelian randomization study, published in Frontiers in Microbiology, one of the gold standards of research design, analyzed data from 463,010 participants and identified 7 specific gut bacterial taxa with a causal relationship to overactive bladder symptoms, including nocturia. Here's what this means in plain terms. After 60, the gut lining naturally becomes more permeable. What researchers call leaky gut. When gut bacterial diversity drops, inflammatory compounds called lipopolysaccarides cross that leaky lining and enter the bloodstream. Those compounds travel to the bladder, where they trigger the same inflammatory response that causes urgency, frequency, and Nocturia. Your bladder isn't overactive because of your bladder. It's overactive because your gut is on fire. Here's exactly what to do. Every morning, eat one of the following fermented foods before anything else. 2 tablespoons of plain kefir, or 2 tablespoons of plain natural yogurt with live cultures. Check the label for live active cultures. Add 1 prebiotic food to your lunch. Half a banana, a small portion of cooked and cooled rice, or 1 tablespoon of ground flaxseed. Prebiotics feed the bifidobacterium strains that are depleted in people with bladder urgency. Remove 1 gut-disruptive food per week. Start with artificial sweeteners, aspartame, sucralose. A 2021 study showed these directly reduce bifidobacterium levels and increase gut permeability. Aim for 25 to 30 grams of fiber per day from vegetables, legumes, and whole grains. The secret gut bladder insight most people miss. It's not just about adding probiotics. The sequence matters. Prebiotic food first creates the environment. Fermented food second repopulates it. Without prebiotics, the good bacteria have nothing to eat and don't survive. As you progress, consider adding a clinically studied probiotic strain. Lactobacillus rhamnosus GR21 and Lactobacillus reuteri RC14 are the 2 strains with the strongest published evidence for urogenital health in adults. Every day you go without restoring your gut diversity is another day the inflammatory compounds keep reaching your bladder and keeping you up at night. Quick pause if this is helping you understand something nobody's explained before. Hit that like button and subscribe so you get notified when the next video goes up. I post every week, and I'd hate for you to miss what's coming. Back to it. Number 2, pelvic floor retraining, the 60-second technique. This is what I tell every single patient who walks into my office with Nocturia. Not because it's new, but because almost no one is doing it correctly. And the version most people know is only half the exercise. A prospective clinical trial published in the Brazilian Journal of Physical Therapy studied 27 women with overactive bladder symptoms, including Nocturia. After a structured pelvic floor muscle training program, there was a statistically significant improvement in Nocturia scores. P equals 0.011, alongside meaningful reductions in urgency and urinary loss. A broader review published in PubMed found studies showing up to 70% improvement in urgency symptoms following correctly performed pelvic floor exercise across all age groups. And a 2021 study from the TULIP trial, a secondary analysis published in European Journal of Obstetrics and Gynecology, followed women aged 55 and older through behavioral pelvic floor training program and found significantly fewer Nocturia episodes at every follow-up point, including at 24 months. The improvement wasn't temporary. It compounded over time. Here's why this works so specifically after 60. The pelvic floor is a hammock of muscles that sits beneath the bladder, supporting it and regulating the urethral sphincter. After 60, especially in women post-menopause and in men post-prostate changes, these muscles weaken significantly. But there's a second problem most people don't know about. The muscles don't just weaken, they shorten and become overactive. A tight, shortened pelvic floor cannot relax fully, which prevents the bladder from expanding to its full storage capacity, causing urgency signals at lower and lower volumes. Most people do Kegels, they squeeze and hold. But that trains only the contraction. You need to train the release just as deliberately. Here's the full technique. It takes 60 seconds. Sit or lie comfortably. Take 1 slow breath in. As you exhale, gently squeeze your pelvic floor upward and inward, as if you're stopping the flow of urine. Hold for 5 seconds. Now the critical part. On the next inhale, consciously and completely release the pelvic floor downward. Imagine letting it drop like a trapdoor. Hold the release for 5 seconds. Most people skip this entirely. Repeat this contract and release cycle 10 times. Do this twice a day, once after waking, once before bed. The secret cue that changes everything. During the release phase, imagine your pelvic floor as a flower opening. That imagery specifically activates the parasympathetic relaxation response and prevents the chronic tension that keeps bladder capacity low. But number 1 is the fix that ties everything together. It addresses the specific biological process that causes the kidneys to produce excess urine at night. And it's something you can start tonight. Number 1. The Nighttime Magnesium Protocol. Most people have never connected magnesium to their bladder, which is remarkable, because the research on this is some of the most consistent and compelling in the entire Nocturia literature. A 2024 study published in the journal Nutrients and indexed on PubMed examined NHANES data from thousands of US adults and found a statistically significant positive association between magnesium depletion and overactive bladder prevalence, even after adjusting for age, BMI, diabetes, and hypertension. People with depleted magnesium had substantially higher rates of OAB symptoms, including Nocturia. And a 2021 systematic review and meta-analysis published in BMC, Complementary Medicine and Therapies, analyzing 3 randomized controlled trials with 151 older adults across 3 countries, found that oral magnesium supplementation reduced sleep onset latency by 17.36 minutes, compared to placebo p igual a 0.0006. Less time awake in bed means fewer opportunities for the bladder to register urgency signals and pull you out of sleep. Here's the mechanism that makes this. Number 1. After 60, most adults are significantly magnesium deficient. The National Institutes of Health reports that older adults have reduced magnesium absorption and increased urinary excretion. Magnesium plays 3 specific roles in Nocturia. First, it directly relaxes smooth muscle, including the detrusor muscle of the bladder, the muscle responsible for urgency contractions. Second, magnesium is required for the production of melatonin, and melatonin is what signals the kidneys to reduce urine output at night. Without enough magnesium, your kidneys don't get the slowdown signal and keep producing urine through the night. Third, magnesium is a critical regulator of gut microbiome diversity. The same bifidobacterium strains depleted in people with OAB require magnesium for optimal function. This is why it's number 1. It directly addresses the gut-bladder axis, the bladder smooth muscle, and the kidney overnight signal, all 3 simultaneously. Here's exactly what to do. Take 200 to 400 milligrams of magnesium glycinate or magnesium citrate 30 to 45 minutes before bed. These forms have the highest bioavailability. Avoid magnesium oxide, it is the cheapest form and the least absorbed. Take it with a small amount of food, a few nuts or a spoonful of yogurt, not on an empty stomach. Do not take more than 400 milligrams without consulting your doctor. Higher doses can cause loose stools. Pair it with the pelvic floor release technique from number 2. The magnesium deepens the muscle relaxation effect. The secret detail that most people miss: the timing is everything. Magnesium taken in the morning has almost no effect on Nocturia. Studies show oxide form has less than 4% absorption. Glycinate or citrate forms have 3 to 5 times the bioavailability. You're not saving money, you're buying something that doesn't work. These 5 fixes require no surgery, no prescription, no expensive devices. Most of them cost nothing, and all of them work together as a connected system. When you apply them together, you're addressing every major pathway that drives Nocturia after 60. Fluid redistribution from sodium management, gut microbiome restoration through fermented and prebiotic foods, pelvic floor tension release, bladder capacity training, kidney overnight signaling through magnesium, and deep sleep quality all at once. The research on this is real and consistent, and it is coming from serious, peer-reviewed institutions. The old model of Nocturia, that waking up 2 or 3 times a night is just what happens when you get older, and the only options are drugs or surgery. That model is wrong. We now know that Nocturia is driven by a gut-bladder inflammatory axis that responds directly to what you eat, how you move your fluids, what minerals you supplement, and how you train your pelvic floor. These are things entirely within your control. Every night you wait is another night of fragmented sleep, daytime fatigue, fall risk in the dark, and the slow toll on your heart, your mood, and your memory that chronic sleep deprivation takes after 60. But every night you apply even one of these fixes is a night you're actively interrupting that cycle. The path is clear, the science is solid, and the tools are simple enough to start tonight. literally tonight, with number 1. Now I want to hear from you. Which of these 5 are you going to start with tonight? And if you've already tried something for Nocturia that did or didn't work, drop it in the comments. I read every single one, and your experience could be the thing that helps someone else watching this finally get a full night's sleep. If this helped you, please like the video, share it with someone you know who's losing sleep every night, and subscribe for more research-backed answers to what's actually happening in your body after 60. Thanks for watching. Go get some rest, you've earned it.